The morning sun cast long shadows across the training grounds of the Galactic Naval Academy. Cadet Jake Morrison wiped sweat from his forehead as he finished his morning run around the Academy's outer wall. The wall stretched for miles, protecting the massive complex that sat on the moon of Kepler 442b. Jake had been at the Academy for 2 years now. He was one of only 12 humans among the 300 cadets who trained here. The Academy welcomed young warriors from 12 different alien species, each bringing their own fighting styles and traditions. As Jake walked toward the main building, he passed groups of alien cadets. The tall, blue-skinned Zephyrians moved in perfect formation, their forearms carrying different weapons. The rock-like Krathari practiced their battle roars, making the ground shake under their heavy feet. Near the tech labs, the crystal beings from the collective worked on advanced machinery with their glowing fingers. Jake enjoyed watching the different species train. Each had mastered their own way of fighting over thousands of years. The humans were the newest members of the galactic community. They had only learned to travel between stars 50 years ago, while some of these alien races had been exploring space for millions of years. Inside the main building, Jake met his 2 closest friends. Lisa Chang sat at a computer terminal, her dark hair tied back as she worked on engineering problems. She could fix almost any machine and design new ones that worked better than the originals. "Morning, Jake," Lisa said without looking up from her screen. "Ready for combat training today?" Ryan Davis walked over carrying his gear bag. He was built like a football player and could fight with any weapon the Academy had. Ryan came from a military family and had been training to fight since he could walk. "Always ready." Ryan grinned. "Though I wish they would let us face some real challenges instead of the same old simulations." The 3 humans made their way to the main combat arena. It was a huge dome-shaped building that could create any kind of fighting environment, using advanced technology. The arena could make jungles, space stations, underwater cities, or anything the instructors wanted. Commander Veltar stood at the center of the arena. He was a Krathari, standing 8 feet tall with gray stone-like skin and small red eyes. He had fought in real wars and earned many honors before coming to teach at the Academy. "Today we practice team combat," Veltar announced in his deep, rumbling voice. "Each species will work together to complete the mission." The cadets formed their species groups. The humans stood together, looking small next to some of the larger aliens. Jake noticed how the other species whispered among themselves and pointed at the humans. Most aliens thought humans were weak because they were new to space travel. Suddenly the lights in the arena flickered. A low humming sound filled the air, making everyone look around nervously. The sound grew louder and seemed to come from everywhere at once. "What is that?" Lisa asked, checking a small scanner she always carried. Before anyone could answer, the air in the center of the arena began to shimmer. A silver sphere about the size of a car appeared out of nowhere. It hovered 3 feet above the ground, spinning slowly and making soft clicking sounds. Commander Veltar immediately ordered all cadets to step back. The sphere stopped spinning and began to change shape. Metal panels folded outward like flower petals. Thin metal arms extended from the sides. In less than a minute, the sphere had transformed into a 10-foot-tall machine that looked like a mix between a robot and a work of art. The machine's surface was smooth and silver, reflecting the arena lights. It had no face, but a blue light glowed where eyes might be. When it spoke, the voice came from speakers all around the arena. "Greetings, young warriors of the galaxy," the machine said. Its voice was calm and measured, like a teacher speaking to students. "I have traveled far to find you." Commander Veltar stepped forward, his hand on his weapon. "What are you? How did you get past our defenses?" "I am a test," the machine replied. "Your defenses could not stop me because I do not wish to harm you. I come with a challenge for your finest warriors." The machine gestured with one of its metal arms. The arena around them began to change. The floor became a circle of black material, and the walls turned into viewing screens. Soft lights appeared overhead, making the space feel like a gladiator arena from ancient times. "Each species may send 3 of their best fighters," the machine continued. "They will face me in combat simulation. If they win, I will share knowledge that could advance your civilizations by thousands of years. If they lose, they will simply return to their training, wiser for the experience." The alien cadets began talking excitedly among themselves. Some looked eager for the challenge, while others seemed worried. Jake noticed that the machine had scanned each group of cadets while it spoke, its blue light passing over every student. Commander Veltar looked suspicious. "Why should we trust you? This could be a trap." "It is not a trap," the machine said. "It is an opportunity. I have waited many years to find warriors worthy of testing. Your academy trains the best fighters from many worlds. Surely some among you can provide the challenge I seek." Lisa pulled out her scanner and aimed it at the machine. She frowned at the readings. "Jake, this thing is old. I mean really old. The metal it's made from doesn't match anything in our databases." Ryan cracked his knuckles. "Sounds like fun to me. When do we start?" The machine turned its glowing blue light toward the humans. It stared at them for a long moment, making soft beeping sounds like it was analyzing them. Then it turned away as if they were not important. "We shall begin with the most experienced warriors," the machine announced. "Who among you has the longest tradition of combat?" The Krathari stepped forward immediately. Their species had been fighting wars for millions of years. Their entire culture was built around honor and battle. "The Krathari will face you first," Commander Veltar declared. "We are ready." As the Krathari cadets prepared for their challenge, Jake watched the machine carefully. Something about it bothered him, but he could not figure out what. Lisa continued scanning it while Ryan studied how it moved. The three humans had learned to work together, each using their different skills. The machine began setting up the combat simulation, creating weapons and obstacles from thin air. Soon the first real test would begin. None of them knew that this challenge would change everything at the academy and show the galaxy something new about the human spirit. The three strongest Krathari cadets stepped into the combat arena. Their names were Grok, Thane, and Brule. Each stood over 7 feet tall with muscles like carved stone and scars from countless training battles. They carried traditional Krathari weapons, heavy hammers that could crush steel and shields that could stop laser blasts. Jake watched from the sidelines with the other cadets. The arena had transformed into a rocky battlefield that looked like the Krathari homeworld. Jagged stones provided cover and the air felt thick and hot. "The Krathari have never lost a battle at this academy," whispered a Zephyrian cadet standing nearby. "Their fighting style has been perfected over millions of years." The machine stood calmly in the center of the arena. It had created its own weapons from the same silver material as its body. The weapons looked simple: a staff, a shield, and something that resembled a sword. "Begin," the machine announced. Grok let out a battle roar that shook the entire arena. The three Krathari charged forward in their traditional attack formation. Grok went straight down the middle while Thane and Brule circled around the sides. It was a classic Krathari tactic that had worked for thousands of years. The machine watched them approach without moving. Its blue light flickered as it analyzed their movements. When Grok reached striking distance, the machine suddenly sprang into action. It moved faster than anything the cadets had ever seen. The machine blocked Grok's hammer strike and spun away from Thane's attack in the same motion. When Brule tried to hit it from behind, the machine seemed to know exactly where he would be. "How is it moving like that?" Lisa asked, checking her scanner. "It's predicting their attacks before they make them." The battle lasted only 3 minutes. The machine used the Krathari's own fighting style against them, but with perfect timing and no wasted movement. It turned their strength into weakness by making them overextend their attacks. Soon all three Krathari lay on the arena floor, defeated but not seriously hurt. "Impossible," Commander Veltar muttered. "No one defeats Krathari warriors so easily." The machine stood over the defeated cadets. "Your fighting style is based on honor and direct confrontation. This makes you predictable. You attack where your honor demands, not where strategy suggests." The Krathari cadets helped each other stand. They looked shocked and confused. Their entire way of life was built around being the strongest fighters in the galaxy. "Who challenges me next?" the machine asked. The Zephyrians stepped forward. Their team consisted of 3 female cadets named Zira, Vex, and Nala. Unlike the Krathari, the Zephyrians were tall and thin, with blue skin and 4 arms each. They specialized in coordination and teamwork. The arena changed again, becoming a maze of metal corridors like the inside of a spaceship. The Zephyrians moved through it like dancers, communicating without words through small gestures and eye contact. Jake admired how perfectly they worked together. One Zephyrian would create a distraction while the other 2 flanked their target. They never got in each other's way and seemed to think as one mind. The machine stood motionless as the Zephyrians surrounded it. They attacked from 3 different directions at exactly the same moment, their movements so coordinated that they looked like parts of a single weapon. But again, the machine had been watching and learning. It countered their perfectly timed attack by doing something they had not expected. It split its attention 3 ways and fought all of them at once. That should be impossible, Ryan said. Nothing can focus on 3 opponents simultaneously, yet the machine did exactly that. It parried Zira's strike while dodging Vex's attack and blocking Nala's assault. The Zephyrians tried to adapt, changing their coordination patterns, but the machine adapted faster. In 5 minutes, the 3 Zephyrians joined the Crithari on the arena floor. "Your coordination is excellent," the machine told them, "but coordination requires patterns. Patterns can be predicted and countered." Species after species stepped forward to face the machine. The shape-shifting Morphins tried to confuse it by changing their bodies during combat, but the machine tracked their energy signatures. The psychically linked twins of Andros attacked with shared thoughts, but the machine jammed their mental connection. Jake took notes on every battle. Lisa analyzed the machine's energy readings while Ryan studied its fighting techniques. The 3 humans noticed things the other species missed. "Look at the delay," Lisa pointed to her scanner. "Every time it encounters something new, there's a tiny pause while it processes the information. And it always uses the minimum force necessary," Ryan added. "It's not trying to hurt anyone, just defeat them quickly." The Solari cadets created weapons from pure energy, filling the arena with brilliant light. The machine absorbed their energy attacks and turned them back against the Solari. The augmented used cybernetic enhancements to move faster than normal biology allowed, but the machine calculated their maximum speed and stayed just out of reach. Each defeat was faster than the last. The machine was learning from every battle, adding new fighting styles to its knowledge. What took 3 minutes against the Crithari took only 1 minute against the later species. Fear began to spread through the academy. Cadets who had trained their entire lives watched their best fighters fall like children. Some species began to whisper that the machine was not just testing them, but judging them and finding them unworthy. "Maybe we should contact the fleet," suggested a crystalline collective cadet. "This thing might be a weapon sent by an enemy." Commander Veltar considered the idea, but the machine had not harmed anyone. It defeated each challenger and then waited patiently for the next. It did not seem interested in conquest or destruction. Jake continued watching and taking notes. He noticed that the machine never celebrated its victories or showed any emotion. It simply analyzed, adapted, and moved to the next challenge. "It's lonely," Jake said suddenly. Lisa and Ryan looked at him in surprise. "What do you mean?" Lisa asked. "Think about it," Jake explained. "It said it had been waiting to find warriors worthy of testing. It's not trying to conquer us or hurt us. It wants a real challenge, but everyone fights the same way their species has always fought." Ryan nodded slowly. "You think it's bored?" "I think it's been looking for something different," Jake replied. "Every species here has mastered their fighting style over thousands of years. They're perfect at what they do, but that makes them predictable. Only 2 species remained, the Energy Weavers and the humans. The Energy Weavers were beings of pure thought who could manipulate matter with their minds. They were considered the most advanced species at the Academy. The 3 Energy Weaver cadets floated into the arena without physical bodies, appearing as shifting lights in the air. They attacked by reshaping the arena itself, turning the floor into quicksand and the walls into spears. The machine adapted to their reality-changing attacks by changing its own structure. It became fluid like water, flowing around their attacks and solidifying only when it needed to strike back. In 2 minutes, even the Energy Weavers were defeated. "Your power over matter is impressive," the machine told them, "but you rely too heavily on that power. When faced with something that can match your abilities, you have no backup strategy." Now only the humans remained. The entire academy stared at Jake, Lisa, and Ryan. Everyone expected them to be defeated faster than any other species. After all, humans had been in space for only 50 years. How could they succeed where millions of years of alien evolution had failed? The machine turned its blue light toward the 3 humans. For the first time since the challenges began, it seemed genuinely curious. And what can the newest species teach an old machine like me? Jake Morrison stepped forward while his 2 friends remained at the edge of the arena. The watching cadets murmured in confusion. Every other species had sent their 3 best fighters together, but Jake walked toward the machine alone. "Wait," Commander Veltar called out. "You are only sending 1 cadet? The machine expects 3 challengers." "I know," Jake replied without turning around. "But humans do things differently." Lisa and Ryan understood Jake's plan. They had discussed it while watching the other battles. The machine learned by studying patterns and fighting styles. Every species had fought exactly as expected, using their traditional methods. The humans needed to try something completely different. The machine's blue light focused on Jake. "You face me alone, young human? This is unexpected." "That's the idea," Jake said with a smile. The arena began to change, but Jake raised his hand. "Can you make it look like Earth? My home planet?" Another unexpected request. The machine paused for a moment, processing this unusual behavior. "Why do you wish to choose the battlefield?" "Because I fight better when I'm comfortable," Jake replied honestly. The arena transformed into a scene from Earth. Rolling green hills stretched in all directions, with a few scattered trees and a small stream running through the middle. The afternoon sun cast warm light across the landscape, and a gentle breeze moved the grass. Many of the alien cadets had never seen such a simple, natural environment. Most species preferred environments that matched their special abilities. The Krathari liked rocky battlegrounds. The Zephyrians preferred metal corridors, and the Solari needed areas where they could use their energy powers effectively. "This is your advantage?" the machine asked.
Familiar terrain?
Jake picked up a handful of dirt from the ground and let it run through his fingers. "Maybe, we'll see." The machine created its usual weapons, the staff, shield, and sword. Jake looked around and picked up a thick tree branch that had fallen near the stream. He tested its weight and balance, then broke off a few smaller twigs to make it easier to handle. "You choose a primitive weapon against advanced technology?" The machine seemed genuinely puzzled. "It's not about the weapon," Jake said. "It's about how you use it." The battle began, but not in any way the watchers expected. Instead of charging forward like the Krathari or coordinating an attack like the Zephyrians, Jake started walking in a wide circle around the machine. "What is he doing?" whispered a Morphin cadet. Jake moved unpredictably, sometimes fast, sometimes slow. He would start to approach the machine, then change direction suddenly. He threw small stones into the stream just to make noise. He even stopped to examine a flower that was growing near one of the trees. The machine turned to track Jake's movements, its blue light following him constantly. For the first time since the challenges began, the machine seemed uncertain. It had been programmed to analyze attack patterns, but Jake was not showing any pattern at all. "Are you going to fight or not?" the machine asked. "I am fighting," Jake replied. "Just not the way you expect." Jake suddenly charged forward, but instead of attacking with his branch, he slid feet first like a baseball player stealing second base. The machine swung its sword where Jake's head should have been, but Jake was already rolling away. As he rolled, Jake grabbed a handful of mud from near the stream and flung it at the machine's sensors. The machine's blue light flickered as it tried to clean the mud away. In that moment of confusion, Jake struck with his branch not at the machine itself but at the ground beneath its feet. The impact created a small crater that made the machine stumble. Jake was already moving away before the machine could counterattack. "Interesting," the machine said, cleaning the mud from its sensors. "You use deception and misdirection." "I use whatever works," Jake said. The machine attacked more aggressively, trying to force Jake into a conventional fighting pattern. But Jake refused to fight conventionally. When the machine swung high, Jake went low. When it expected him to dodge left, he dodged right. Sometimes he did not dodge at all, but instead moved closer to the machine, getting inside its reach where its long weapons were less effective. Lisa watched from the sidelines, her scanner tracking both fighters. "Jake's heart rate is staying steady," she reported to Ryan. "He's not panicking or getting tired." Ryan nodded. "Look at the machine's movements. They're getting less precise. It's having trouble predicting what Jake will do next." Jake began talking during the fight, another thing no previous challenger had done. "You know, this is a nice planet you've created. Very peaceful. Do you like peaceful places?" The machine paused mid-swing, confused by the question. "I do not understand." "We are in combat, so can't we have a conversation while we fight?" Jake blocked the machine's staff with his branch, then immediately started backing away again. "I mean, you've been alone for a long time, right?" "When was the last time you had a good talk with someone?" This is not relevant to combat, the machine said, but its attacks became more hesitant. Jake kept moving and talking. He asked the machine about its travels, about the species it had met before coming to the academy, about what it was looking for. The machine tried to ignore the questions and focus on fighting, but Jake's constant chatter was unlike anything in its programming. You are attempting to distract me with irrelevant conversation, the machine finally said. Maybe, Jake admitted, but I'm also genuinely curious. You're obviously very old and you've seen a lot of the galaxy. I bet you have some interesting stories. For the first time, the machine stopped attacking entirely. It stood still in the middle of the arena, its blue light dim. Stories? I have not shared stories in a very long time. Jake lowered his makeshift weapon. See, that's what I thought. You're not really here to fight us, are you? You're here because you're looking for something. The watching cadets held their breath. No one understood what was happening. The human had not defeated the machine in combat, but he had done something else entirely. He had made it stop fighting. Lisa and Ryan exchanged glances. They were beginning to understand Jake's real strategy. He was not trying to beat the machine at its own game. He was trying to change the game entirely. You said you were a test, Jake continued, sitting down cross-legged on the grass. But what are you really testing for? Combat ability? Because I think you already know that you can outfight any of us. The machine's blue light flickered. The parameters of the test are what? Jake asked gently. What are you really looking for? The machine stood motionless for a long moment. Its weapon slowly dissolved back into its body. When it spoke again, its voice was different, softer, more uncertain. I'm looking for something I have not found in 1,000 years of searching, the machine admitted, but I am no longer certain what that something is. Jake remained sitting on the grass, looking up at the towering machine. Around them, the arena stayed quiet except for the gentle sound of the stream flowing over rocks. The alien cadets watched in amazement as the human continued to talk with the ancient construct as if they were old friends meeting for coffee. Tell me about the last 1,000 years, Jake said. What have you been doing all this time? The machine's blue light pulsed slowly like a heartbeat. I have traveled from world to world, system to system. I have tested warriors from hundreds of species. All of them fought with great skill and honor. But none of them satisfied you, Jake guessed. No, they were predictable. Each species had perfected their fighting methods over millions of years. The Crithari always charged directly forward. The Zephyrians always coordinated their attacks perfectly. The Solari always used their energy powers in the same way. The machine paused. They were magnificent, but they were also limited. Jake nodded. Because when you perfect something, you stop changing it. Exactly. The machine sounded surprised that Jake understood. Perfection is the end of growth. I began to think I would never find what I was searching for. From the sidelines, Lisa called out, Jake, ask it what it's really looking for. The machine turned toward Lisa and Ryan. Your companions wish to join this conversation? Of course they do, Jake said. We're a team. We work together. Lisa and Ryan walked into the arena, their weapons lowered. The machine watched them approach but made no threatening moves. For the first time since the challenges began, it seemed more curious than hostile. You three work as a unit, the machine observed. Like the Zephyrians, but different. Very different, Ryan said. The Zephyrians coordinate because they've trained together for years using the same techniques. We coordinate because we trust each other to do unexpected things. Lisa held up her scanner. I've been analyzing you during all the fights. You're not just a war machine, are you? Your technology is far more advanced than anything we've seen. You could have defeated every cadet here in seconds if you wanted to. You are correct, the machine admitted. I limited my capabilities to match each opponent. The goal was not to destroy but to test. Test for what exactly? Jake asked. The machine was quiet for a long moment. Its blue light dimmed as it seemed to search through old memories. My creators were an ancient species. They had mastered their galaxy and eliminated all challenges. They became stagnant, perfect, and ultimately extinct because they could no longer adapt to change. So they built you, Lisa said, understanding dawning in her voice. They built me to find a species that had not yet reached perfection. A species that still grew, still changed, still surprised itself with new solutions to old problems. The machine's light brightened. They wanted to leave their knowledge to someone who would use it to continue growing. rather than someone who would use it to become stagnant. Ryan laughed. Well, you definitely found the right species. Humans are terrible at being perfect. We're really good at making mistakes and learning from them, Jake added. My grandmother used to say that humans succeed by failing better than anyone else. The machine tilted its head, a gesture that looked almost human. Failing better? Sure, Jake said. Every other species here has spent millions of years perfecting their fighting styles. They don't make mistakes anymore because they know exactly what works. But humans, we've only been fighting in space for 50 years. We're still figuring things out. That is why your approach was so different, the machine realized. You did not fight according to established patterns because humans have not yet established their patterns. Lisa grinned. We're kind of making it up as we go along. That's our secret weapon, Ryan said. We're unpredictable because we don't know what we're doing half the time. The machine processed this information. Your species succeeds through controlled chaos rather than organized perfection. Not controlled, Jake corrected. Just chaos that we're willing to learn from. When I threw mud at your sensors, I didn't plan that. I just saw an opportunity and took it. And when you started talking to me during combat, the machine said, that was not a calculated strategy? Not really. I just thought you seemed lonely, and maybe you needed someone to talk to more than you needed someone to fight with. The machine stood silently for several minutes. The alien cadets began to whisper among themselves, wondering what was happening. Commander Veltar took a step forward, but stopped when the machine's blue light suddenly blazed brighter than it had before. In 1,000 years of searching, the machine said, you are the first beings to treat me as something other than an opponent to be defeated or a puzzle to be solved. Well, what are you then? Jake asked. I am a teacher who forgot how to be a student. I am a test that became trapped by its own parameters. The machine's voice grew stronger. I am a lonely wanderer who has finally found companions who can show me something new. The arena around them began to change again, but not into another battlefield. Instead, walls of light appeared covered with symbols and diagrams. The symbols showed star maps, scientific formulas, and technologies beyond anything the cadets had ever imagined. This is the inheritance my creators left, the machine explained. The accumulated knowledge of a civilization that spanned galaxies. They wanted it given to a species that would use it to continue growing rather than to achieve stagnation. Lisa stared at the symbols, her engineering mind racing to understand even a fraction of what she was seeing. This could advance every species in the galaxy by thousands of years. It could, the machine agreed. But advancement without wisdom leads to stagnation. My creators learned that lesson too late. So what happens now? Ryan asked. The machine turned its blue light toward all three humans. Now I have a choice to make. Do I share this knowledge with your species alone? Or do I find a way to share it with all the species here? Jake looked at his friends, then at the watching alien cadets. What do you think, guys? I think, Lisa said slowly, that humans are better when we work with others. We've learned more in 50 years of space travel by cooperating with alien species than we ever learned on our own. And besides, Ryan added, if we kept all that knowledge to ourselves, wouldn't we risk becoming stagnant like your creators did? Jake nodded. The whole point is to keep growing and changing, right? We can't do that alone. The machine's blue light pulsed in what might have been approval. Perhaps that is the final test. Not whether you can defeat me, but whether you can move beyond the need to defeat each other. Around the arena, alien cadets began to step forward. They had heard every word, and many were beginning to understand what the machine was really offering. Not just advanced technology, but a new way of thinking about growth and cooperation. The machine stood in the center of the transformed arena, surrounded by walls of ancient knowledge. Its blue light had grown warm and steady, no longer the harsh analytical beam it had been during the combat challenges. Jake, Lisa, and Ryan remained near the machine while the alien cadets formed a wide circle around them. I have made my decision, the machine announced. Its voice carried clearly to every corner of the arena. The test is complete, but not in the way I originally designed it. Commander Veltar stepped forward, his red eyes fixed on the towering construct. What do you mean? The humans did not defeat you in combat. No, they did something far more important, the machine replied. They showed me that the test itself was flawed. The machine gestured toward the walls of light surrounding them. The symbols and diagrams shifted, showing new patterns that seemed to pulse with life rather than remain static like ancient texts. For 1,000 years, I searched for a species worthy of my creator's inheritance. I tested their warriors, looking for perfect fighting techniques and unbeatable strategies. But perfection was exactly what destroyed my creators. A Zephyrian cadet named Vex raised one of her 4 arms. Then what were you really searching for? Growth, the machine said simply. The ability to change, to adapt, to find new solutions when old ones fail. Most species I encountered had reached the peak of their development. They were magnificent, but they had stopped evolving. Jake walked closer to one of the light walls, studying the symbols that shifted and changed as he watched. Your creators built you to find teachers, not students. Precisely, the machine agreed. They wanted to leave their knowledge with a species that would use it as a foundation for further growth, not as a final destination. Lisa pointed her scanner at the walls of light. Her readings showed energy patterns unlike anything in the Academy's databases. This knowledge? It's not just information, is it? It's alive somehow. My creators designed their inheritance to grow with whoever receives it, the machine explained. The knowledge adapts and evolves based on how it is used. But it requires minds that are still capable of change. Ryan looked around at all the alien cadets. So what happens to everyone else? Do only humans get the inheritance? The machine's light dimmed as it considered the question. That was my original programming. Find the most suitable species and give them the inheritance. But the humans have taught me something unexpected. What's that? Asked Grok, the Krathari warrior who had been defeated in the first challenge. That cooperation creates possibilities that isolation cannot, the machine replied. Humans have been in space for only 50 years, yet they have learned to work with species that have existed for millions of years. They grow stronger by combining their adaptability with others' expertise. Jake sat down on the grass again, looking up at the machine. You know, my species has a saying, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. Wisdom, the machine said. My creators went alone for too long. They became isolated in their perfection. Commander Veltar stepped closer to the group. What are you proposing? A new kind of test, the machine answered. Not competition, but cooperation. Each species here has mastered different aspects of existence. The Krathari understand honor and strength. The Zephyrians have perfected coordination. The Solari command energy. The Morphans embrace change. And humans bring chaos and adaptability, Lisa added with a smile. Controlled chaos guided by curiosity and compassion, the machine corrected. You are the catalyst that can help others continue growing. The arena began to change once more. The walls of light expanded, creating smaller sections filled with different types of knowledge. Some areas showed advanced weapons and defensive systems. Others contained medical technologies that could heal previously incurable diseases. Still others revealed methods for traveling between distant galaxies in a matter of days. This is beyond anything we imagined, whispered Nala, one of the Zephyrian cadets. It is beyond what any single species could fully understand or properly use, the machine said. But together, you might be worthy of it. Jake stood up and walked to the center of the group. So here's what I think. Instead of one species getting everything, we all get access to the knowledge that matches our strengths. But more importantly, we learn to share what we discover. The humans coordinate the sharing, suggested Zira, another Zephyrian cadet. They seem to be good at bringing different groups together. We're good at making friends, Ryan said with a grin. Even with ancient war machines that could squash us like bugs. The machine's light pulsed in what might have been laughter. You 3 never showed fear, even when facing an opponent you could not defeat through conventional means. Fear wouldn't have helped, Jake said. Besides, you never seemed like you wanted to hurt anyone. You just seemed sad. Lonely, Lisa corrected. The sadness came from being alone for so long. And now? The machine asked. Now you have friends, Ryan said simply. Lots of friends if you want them. The machine stood quietly for a moment, processing this concept. Around the arena, cadets from every species were talking excitedly about the possibility of sharing the ancient knowledge. The Krathari discussed how advanced materials could make their armor stronger. The crystalline collective imagined new computational systems. The Solari wondered about energy sources beyond their current understanding. I accept your proposal, the machine announced. But I have one condition. What's that? Jake asked. I wish to remain here at this academy. I want to learn alongside you as you discover how to use my creator's inheritance. After 1,000 years of searching, I have finally found teachers who can help me continue to grow. Commander Veltar stepped forward. The Galactic Naval Academy would be honored to have you as both instructor and student. Then it is settled, the machine said. Its blue light began to change, becoming warmer and less intense. I will share my creator's knowledge with all who prove ready for it. Not through combat trials, but through demonstrations of wisdom, cooperation, and the willingness to continue learning. Jake looked around at all the cadets from different species. I think this is going to be interesting. Very interesting, Lisa agreed, already imagining the technological advances they could achieve. The best kind of chaos, Ryan added. The machine began to transform once more. Its imposing warlike appearance softened into something more like a teacher's podium than a weapon. The walls of light settled into permanent positions around the arena, creating a vast library of living knowledge. My name, the machine said, was lost long ago. My creators called me simply the Seeker, but perhaps it is time for a new name. How about Professor? Jake suggested. That's what we call our teachers. Professor, the machine repeated, testing the word. Yes, I think I would like that very much. As the sun set over the academy, cadets from 12 different species gathered around their new teacher. The human cadets sat in the front, having earned that honor through their unique approach to an impossible challenge. But they made sure everyone could see and hear as Professor began the first lesson in a curriculum that would change the galaxy. The ancient machine had finally found what it was looking for. Not perfect warriors, but imperfect beings willing to grow together. And in finding them, it had discovered something its creators never had. That the greatest knowledge comes not from being right, but from being willing to learn from those who think differently than you do.